We have lots to talk about here in today's video, including some trade talk around a handful of teams as the NHL season gets underway. Today's trade talk focusing on teams like the Ottawa Senators, Toronto Maple Leafs, Philadelphia Flyers, the Vancouver Canucks, and the Carolina Hurricanes. Plus, we have some contract extension rumors around players like Mattias Ekholm with the Edmonton Oilers. We've also got an update on the Bruins retiring a legendary number, some news from the NHL waiver wire, and some more signings to discuss, plus a story to watch out of Minnesota as the season goes along regarding tampering. A lot more coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have lots to discuss here in today's video, and of course today is, for many of us, a very important day. It's almost like, the Christmas holidays for those who celebrate, or just it's that time of year. Hockey season is officially back. What a wonderful day it is. We had the banner raising in Florida just a couple hours ago with the Panthers doing battle with the Blackhawks. I'm recording this video before that game is fully done. It's in the third period, 3-2 Panthers right now. The first goal of the NHL season, 25-26, goes to Blackhawks youngster Frank Nazar, who scored a beautiful goal on a breakaway. Of course, had a big contract extension in the offseason. Looks like he's going to be a heck of a player. I know he made some good strides last year and is really poised to take a step this year. Connor Bedard, to me, looked really impressive. A little faster as well. Has had some good looks, too. And the Panthers have gotten kind of dinged up here. I mean, they've still played good Panther hockey. They're leading the game, but obviously there's lots of guys like Reinhardt had a puck to the face. Rodriguez took a hard shot puck on the inside of the knee, so he was out for a while. And I'm not completely sure if they came back, to be honest, because I've been kind of multitasking here, watching the game while doing some other things. So, they've had some issues that kind of make things worse. Already missing Tkachuk, already missing Barkov, but a good goaltending duel for the most part too between Bobrovsky and former Panther goalie Spencer Knight. Looking forward to seeing some of the other games this evening, of course, with Penguins and the Rangers, and then of course the Avalanche and Kings. And of course the MLB playoffs. So it's kind of like one of my favorite time of years as well, because you still got baseball playoffs plus hockey season is starting. You're going to get the best of both worlds. It's just a fantastic time to be a sports fan, to be completely honest. News from the NHL waiver wire today. We got 2 goalies on waivers and a few other skaters. The Sabres placed goaltender Alexander Georgiev on waivers. They obviously weren't real confident in him to be a part of the roster. They picked up Colton Ellis on waivers the other day from the Blues, and they had more confidence in him than Georgiev. So Georgiev will be either picked up by somebody else or reassigned to the minors. Ville Husso in Anaheim also on waivers as well. Another goaltender with a decent amount of NHL experience, and the contracts for Husso is a little bit more, so it might be a little bit less appetizing for a team to pick that up, but we'll see. They've also got the Carolina Hurricanes have Juha Jaska on waivers. Utah has signed Kevin Rooney to a 1-year 2-way deal, has him on waivers so he can be reported to the AHL. Jerry Davies with the Vegas Golden Knights as well, also signed a lucrative 2-way deal for 1 year, also requires waivers, so they'll see if they get through waivers here tomorrow. A couple of other signings today. The Dallas Stars signed forward Adam Ernie to a 1-year 2-way contract. I believe he was there in a PTO and converted. The Panthers signed Noah Gregor to a 1-year 2-way deal. He was in camp with them on a PTO as well and converted that to a contract. The Devils have signed Luke Glendening to a 1-year deal. This one's a 1-way contract, though, at league minimum $775. And the other RFA holdout that was going on was between Holtz and the Golden Knights is over too. Alexander Holtz is signed, 2-year contract. His cap hit believed to be $837.5, but technically, once the season started, which it has today, I think because usually it's a prorated amount when the season starts, so it's going to be slightly adjusted. I think it goes from $837 to like $839 or something. It's very, very minor. The Edmonton Oilers today also recalled Isaac Howard today, so Ike Howard will be in their opening night lineup. I know some fans were concerned when he was sent down and not recalled yesterday when Tomasek was, but that was just for cap purposes. They had to get through the opening night roster submission and all the requirements there before they could kind of move some money around and make it all work and fit. Now, as I mentioned as well, speaking of cap space, the Golden Knights had to be cap compliant as well, like everybody else. and they had to declare Alex Pietrangelo on season-ending long-term injury reserve. So everybody was in agreement. The team, the player, the league, and the PA all had to be involved in those cases to make sure that the team gets an exception to have the full cap hit available for long-term injury relief. Otherwise, you get league average salary, which is $3.8 million right now. So, because we had heard towards the end of the offseason, Kelly McCrimmon, the GM of the Golden Knights, have media availability and say that Alex Pietrangelo wasn't expected to play hockey anymore and that his rest of his time would be on injured reserve. But then Pietrangelo spoke to the media just shortly before training camp started, and in the interview that he did, he kind of made it sound like it's not a given. Like, I'm not ruling out a comeback. Well, here we are. So he still has another year, I believe, after this one on the contract. So we'll see what happens there. But he will not be able to play hockey this year, not even in the playoffs. There's no comeback at the last minute and to stack your team because of the rule changes that we saw. The Boston Bruins, I forgot to mention this yesterday, but yesterday the Bruins announced that they are retiring the number of former captain and legendary defenseman Zdeno Chara. He will have the number 33 sent to the rafters in January on the 15th when the Boston Bruins host the Seattle Kraken. Obviously, Chara had a big role in the Bruins Stanley Cup victory. Back in 2011 against the Vancouver Canucks. Was one of their best free agent signings they've ever had. Went on to obviously play a huge role for an extended time. I know there did seem to be a little bit of hard feelings at the end of his career when they wouldn't sign him again, and he ended up having to go play elsewhere. But he is back working with the organization as well. So clearly things are in a better place if there was anything at the time. But nice to see them do the right thing and retire his number, and looking forward to the January ceremony. Now, a bunch of updates from Elliotte Friedman here today. He actually has a 32 Thoughts written blog, first one in a little while. Besides talking about trade stuff and contract extensions, one thing that he made mention of in his blog that I thought was interesting, a story to kind of follow here in the short term, was if there's any fallout from the Kirill Kaprizov contract stuff that we had heard about, because he even said, he's like, I can't prove it, but I'm quite sure there's been some tampering going on in the background with this Kaprizov negotiation, which led to Kaprizov and his agent, Paul Theophanis, rejecting the original offer from Minnesota to the player at $16 million per season over 8 years. That was a lucrative deal, would have been the richest deal in NHL history, and they turned it down. And their belief is that somebody was in their ear saying, if you make it to free agency, we'd offer you $20 million a year. So obviously the Minnesota at the time was believed that they didn't really want to up the ante, didn't really want to offer more because they didn't think they needed to. But at the same time, this player has leverage. A different scenario than some of the other top guys and their potential pending free agencies. Kind of had Minnesota in a spot where they felt like they had no choice but to kind of, cave to the commands a little bit, and they ended up coming back with an increased offer of from 16 to 17, which he ultimately accepted and signed. But as Friedman writes in his blog here, Minnesota has made it known, and they've warned teams if they ever got evidence of who was kind of in their ear offering this when they shouldn't have been even talking to them at all, that they would go to the league and pursue NHL punishment. So, of course, we don't know. There's really been no leaks or speculation about what that might have been or who that might have been. Was it just one team or more? I don't know. But as Friedman makes mention in his blog, just a story to watch to see if there is anything that comes from it. If Minnesota does discover anything that went on and has any concrete evidence they could take to the league, I'd be curious to see if we ever find out anything more about that situation. Now, one of the contract extensions that he talks about in his blog as well is, of course, with the Edmonton Oilers, they got McDavid done the other day. Big deal. It's not, it's a big deal, but not a big deal in a sense, like a big deal to get it done. Not a big deal in terms of money, at least not when it comes to McDavid. Doesn't even ask for a raise, wants $12.5 million. Could have asked for 14, 15, 16, 17, 20. And really, he's the one player in the league, or one of a few, that could justify asking for whatever they want. But he wants to take less to win. But now that he's done with and he's signed for a few years, they get Jake Wallman done on a 7-year deal. The belief is that they're going to turn their attention to Matthias Ekholm, the veteran defenseman's been a huge part of that back end and an anchor back there, and they'd like to extend him because of his age. Probably not going to be a super long-term deal, but you're probably looking at another 2 or 3 year extension for him. So at least that's the hope. He also makes a mention about the salary cap. The projections had us believing that the salary cap next year would jump to around $104 million. Elliott's saying that some people are telling him it could jump even more to 107 because of increased revenues and business being even better than they had hoped or projected. I mean, in some cases, that's good. It's going to put more dollars into the cap system for players to earn bigger paychecks. From some owners' perspective, though, it's not great. Obviously, especially the Canadian teams, it makes it rough because obviously with a slugging Canadian dollar, with everything being converted to U.S. funds for their payroll and everything, like it does make it a challenge for sure. But the cap rising the way it is will kind of make things interesting and could spawn more player movement. I don't know if players will hold off to get to free agency more, or teams will also have more money to keep their players. It's kind of hard to say what direction this kind of takes the league, but ultimately an exploding cap is going to be good for business in some aspects, and it could be tough for business in other ways too. We'll see. Some other trade talk around the league, according to the latest from Friedman in his blog here. The Philadelphia Flyers are actively pursuing some trades. They're one of the teams that are probably the busiest in the conversations and trade talks right now. They are mainly looking for changes to their defense core and their back end. So again, he didn't link them to any specific players or indicate that any specific D-men are looking to be shipped out. But they definitely want to change up the mix on their back end, and they're actively pursuing some D-core trades. So, of course, there's a couple of guys there that I think it's fair to say won't be going anywhere, but there's definitely a few that would be questionable, to say the least. Definitely an area of weakness, I think, for them, and going forward, something that they're going to have to focus on. So we'll see. He does indicate that the Toronto Maple Leafs are still very much looking for a top six forward. I think they'll probably take their time with this. My opinion is that they'll wait and see a little bit, at least give a handful of games, 5-10 games at least, and maybe a little bit more. See how things are going with their new additions like Michelli and Dakota Joshua. See how everybody's kind of, as a group, are they at least, anywhere near as good as last year? Have they taken a step back? Are the new guys integrating well? Obviously not having a quality player like Marner who can produce in a regular season on Matthews' wing is going to make a big difference. But, depending on how much of a step Matthews can take from being healthy, because we know he wasn't healthy last year, you expect Matthew Nyes to keep, I don't know if he's hit his ceiling yet. Throw Michelli in there. What can he do? Obviously, guys like Joshua that's new to the team. You got Nick Waugh that's new to the team. What kind of ceiling can they have? How Tavares and Nylander are going to continue to play? There's a lot of X factors there. I mean, I still expect the Leafs to be a very good team, but definitely going to be a different mix for sure. A top six forward definitely makes sense, but like I said, I do wonder if they're going to end up kind of maybe taking a small wait and see approach just to see what they got first. Vancouver, according to Friedman, is still very much looking for a middle six centerman. That's no big surprise. We've been hearing that for some time. They've been scouring the market. A couple of names, too, that we've heard, like Frank Saravelli had mentioned. There's a couple of their younger players, like Tom Willander, plus Lekaramaki. He says he's not sure how married they are to those players and wonders if they could be involved, one of them anyways, in a trade to upgrade the forward group to try to obtain another top six centerman to play behind Elias Pettersson. Obviously, they hope and need Pettersson to be that true number one like he has proven in the past, and if they can get a strong number two to play behind him, could be a huge difference for the team. Sounds like they probably prefer to have a guy like Heedle be more likely on the third line. So we'll see where that goes. I also mentioned that the Carolina Hurricanes they're always lurking and always involved in a lot of conversations. Doesn't link them to anything specific, but I do think if there's going to be a big move like we saw last year with Rantanen, it would not be shocking or surprising to me at all if Carolina was involved again. Also, the other team he says to mention here, he says, just basically an informal poll he did around various NHL league executives. They've all kind of, the team that's kind of come up the most is like a team to watch, maybe a dark horse, make a big move that might not catch people off guard would be the Ottawa Senators. It doesn't link them to anything specific, not saying that they're going after a specific player, but we have heard about some different players that they've been looking at in the past. I'd say it's probably a scoring winger, maybe a right shot D, depending on how everybody they have is doing. I think they're in decent shape on the blue line, but if anybody struggles or with Jensen coming off the injury, depending on how things look for him, it could be an area of focus. Hard to say. I think the right side of the blue line and a scoring winger for the top six if the guys they have aren't quite mesh in would be what I would expect. That would be my best guess. But again, I think it's just a team that's expected to be taking another step from last year. It's a team that a lot of teams in the league are looking to be aggressive if they can continue to find ways to get better and find ways to keep that development path going. So obviously we'll see what Ottawa has up their sleeves, but I say he didn't link them to anything specific, but still the fact that a lot of teams think that they're going to make a move tells me that there's probably been lots of conversations around the league that different league executives have either been involved in or heard about, and that's why they think that that's going to be the case. So we'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts on all of today's news and rumors in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.